Hi Capricorn, welcome to your January 2017 love reading. I just picked that card for Aquarius in a different position. I'll be holding up the card that, you know, if you can't see it anyhow. I'm picking a clarification card because the outcome is not, okay. It's funny, I think I got these two cards together, I don't know, before. All right, so let's see what we got here. Let me just talk about the past first. I usually talk about the present. The past is the Five of Swords. This can be, there's a number of things that this could represent. For one, it could represent that you have been talked down in some way. Now you see there's other people involved. That you have, that someone, this would be more for a career situation, that someone was trying to keep you down by talking behind your back. Because it's swords, it's probably something verbal or some kind of like negative communication, some sort of slander or gossip, or sometimes it can be that you, well, it doesn't have to be you, but somebody wins at the expense of somebody else. So an example would be in a love relationship, somebody steals, I hate that word steal, it's not stealing. But we use that term. Somebody takes somebody else's partner and they're really doing it, there's really like a, they're doing it for their own selfish reasons. But it's like an empty victory, because all of the pain that was caused doesn't really add up to much. It doesn't really net them any peace of mind. Too much was lost in order for anything to really be gained, or something, along those lines. Now, another possibility with the Five of Swords is that you feel a sense of defeat about something. Now, this could be in a relationship, a marriage, that maybe you tried really hard to save it and you weren't able to do so for whatever reason. Now, it's interesting. The card I get as the overall theme is the King of Cups. So this is a mature water sign, or somebody who is emotionally mature. Sometimes this can be a counselor, whether it's a psychological counselor or a counselor from the clergy. Somebody who is what do they call that? Somebody that you can cry on their shoulder, or just like a confidant, but it's more of I was going to say a sounding board, but it's somebody who is really, gives you that sense of emotional well-being because they are so understanding. But it could be somebody that you have met too, or that you will meet. This is going to be this is the overall theme. And it's interesting because what comes in is the Queen. So we got the King and the Queen. They're telling me I have to change my battery pack, so let me plug this in. And so the Queen of Wands is a woman who is very confident and capable, and in a position sometimes of authority. So we have both of these cards that are dealing with present issues in January, the King and the Queen, that makes me think of husband and wife a lot of times. I'm sorry, father and mother. So that could, what could have happened, it could be that, the focus is, if you're a woman, the focus is the father of your children. But this, it's funny because I have a feeling that whoever this person is someone that is very centered emotionally, is not somebody who's unstable. The Five of Swords is unstable. If that's another person, they could be an air sign, they could be a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, but whoever they are, they're not to be trusted and they are not stable. The number 5 is not a stable number. It's changeable. It goes here and there. It's associated with Mercury, so it's very mercurial. It one day it wants this, one day it wants that. So I immediately think of Gemini, of all of the air signs with that, and of course that could be who you're dealing with, and Aquarius is the sign next to you, but Aquarius is not like that. Aquarius is a fixed sign. If anything, Aquarius, if you're dealing with an Aquarian and that's who that person is, they would be more likely to be stubborn than to be fickle or flaky and just all over the place. So I don't know who those people are, the King and Queen, but they could represent, you could be that, maybe you are that person who is the Queen, and you are feeling a sense of confidence that you are, if you're like for instance, let's say you're married and somebody tried to come in between the two of you, they may not have succeeded in some way. Now, it's possible that, if you're with this person, maybe somebody tried to come in and disrupt your relationship and your partner wasn't interested in them, because I don't see the King of Cups as a cheater or somebody who would allow themselves to get caught up in an affair. So maybe it was just kind of a threat to it, but it didn't really materialize. And you have a sense of confidence. And for some reason, I think the Queen of Wands is you, and that you have a sense of confidence about the relationship. Maybe, and this doesn't have to be a current relationship. Maybe you were with an air sign and now you're with a water sign. But the difference is night and day, let's put it that way. And maybe the Queen of Wands is you being restored to your confidence because you were dealing with somebody who was in the past some kind of an unstable character, and now you're with somebody who's a grown-up. And the higher message is, it's really like you deserve this, because this is like a card of, your wish getting fulfilled. Maybe you suffered enough to the point where you decided, I don't, what am I suffering for? I deserve the good in life. Your ruler, Capricorn, is Saturn. And so sometimes Capricorns can be very self-denying. And they can, they can be like, I gotta be tough in life. I gotta tough out life. And just restrict yourself in some way. And this can lead to, deprivation, if you take it too far. So that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes you have to embrace the good in life and not, a lot of times I feel like people bring suffering onto themselves because they don't embrace happiness. Maybe some of you thought certain things were necessary for you to have a good life. Maybe you were with somebody and you got married just because one of you got pregnant and you thought, well, I'm doing what's right. I'm doing my duty, Capricorn is very dutiful, but sometimes even you realize when duty goes too far and that it doesn't make the relationship, or, you know, like if you have children, it's not going to make their lives happier if they can sense tension underneath, or if they can tell that their parents are not really in love. That's not going to really help them in the long run. And I'm just giving, you know, one example, but something along those lines. Sometimes people are trying so hard, and I'm talking specifically of Capricorns, to do the right thing and to do what is expected, and they forget their own path and their own happiness. And we've been told over and over again, oh, that's selfish. If you care about your own happiness, well, I think that ultimately it comes out when people needlessly sacrifice, they end up making the situation uncomfortable for the people, their loved ones, because they're unhappy, and it shows. You can't fake happiness ultimately. The card that crosses you is the Ten of Cups, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So this goes along right with that. This is a card of marriage and family happiness. What may be happening is that some of you, if you have felt like, for instance, you need to get a divorce, you may have resisted because you do not want to disrupt the family. And actually, this Ten of Cups in the challenged position is showing you that it is already disrupted. That if you are in an unhappy relationship, that is already happening for you. And so there's nothing more that you can do to disrupt your family's happiness if you're trapped in an unhappy marriage. There's nothing more that you can do. Divorcing will not make it worse for your children. It could make it better, actually. But of course, this is a general reading, so you have to do what's right for yourself. For those of you who are not in that scenario, there could be a water sign individual. Now, this could be a former spouse too. This could be somebody who maybe you have been separated from. I have been talking to Cancer about how Pluto and Capricorn has affected their marital house. So because Pluto is in your first house, for you it's a bit different, but it still can mean that you're experiencing a lot of twists and turns, and by the way, actually, your fourth house is affected because Uranus is in Aries. So that can create that sense of disruption. Uranus is very erratic, so it tends to suddenly spring things on you. But it's all for the highest good. And if you are not happy where you are, then you have to do what's going to bring you closer and your family closer to happiness. The challenge is the Devil card, which is actually associated with you, believe it or not. Saturn. The Devil card is a card of bondage, okay? And so what do we think of with bondage? We think of addiction a lot of times, and that can definitely be over materialism. Excessive materialism is also a form of bondage. And I think with Capricorn, it's more of an excessive ambition that can, affect you in terms of your, if you're a workaholic, for instance, and you're not home to like invest in your family and your spouse, that can affect your outcomes with them. And yet it's a very addictive thing because you feel like, feel like this compulsion to do it. It could be sexual addiction. For people who are not married and they don't have a family but are dealing with maybe having been betrayed by someone, possibly an air sign, you may have entered a relationship that was not really what you thought it was, or maybe you just read into it. Yeah, maybe you thought that it was something it wasn't. And it turned out to be just like on the physical level. That's a possibility. But there was something else I was going to say about the Devil card in terms of what it could represent here. Oh, well, I was going to say that in your particular situation, it could just be a sense of oppression, like you're stuck in this situation. And that's like a mental thing. I mean, really, because if you look at the outcome, and that's why I did pick a clarification card. I did pick the 8 of Swords. And so whenever you see swords, it can relate to your thoughts. And in this case, it's the thoughts that bind you. It's the thoughts that, keep you in a place that you don't want to be. And sometimes the thoughts are related to memes, things that you were told. That, could be like religious teachings that say you don't get divorced, or just, culturally. Divorce is wrong, or divorce is a sign of failure. A sense of loss of status, loss of face, all of these things. And the person in this picture is being oppressed, but they're doing it to themselves. They're blinded by the situation, and they're bound. They feel a sense of being in prison. But they're doing it to themselves with their thoughts. And so I do connect it to that Devil card. You may have an addictive relationship with an air sign, or somebody with that kind of detached air element. And actually the air signs and the earth signs have that detachment in common. And so you may shy away from water signs and fire signs because you don't like the drama that you perceive maybe with some of relationships that you have observed or you've been in. But then you have this, if you're involved with an air sign, that person may be very abrupt and they end something, and then you're still hanging on. And you're like, wait a second, I'm not that detached. And so that may keep you in this state of imprisonment. Or maybe they come in and out, and maybe that's why it's the number 5. It's an inconsistency that keeps you hanging on, like that song goes. And then the card that goes along with that is the Hermit card. So I picked this as a clarification card, and it suggests to me that what you need to do, or what you will do, is that some of you may separate, and that will be kind of like a compromise. Maybe you won't make a decision right away. If you're in a relationship that is not working, especially like a marriage or a domestic partnership. And that sounds reasonable. The other thing is, if you are in that marital state or that domestic state and you can't get away for whatever reason, you may withdraw and you may start to kind of seek your own counsel. You may not look to the other person to provide you what you need, because you're waiting to see what to do. So in other words, the Hermit card suggests that you're going to go within. And that is a good kind of a compromise if you're afraid of a change to that degree. Also, a Virgo person could be featured. The Hermit is connected to Virgo. So maybe you will meet a Virgo person, or somebody with a Virgo who's a fellow earth sign to you, so that they tend to be compatible, and maybe that person will make you forget the air sign. So that's another possible interpretation. as I say, these are general readings. So if you'd like a private reading where I look at your natal chart, in addition to the tarot with the love readings at least, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great January. Bye.